this is obviously there'll be no long-term ill will, but if he goes to the Lakers, that's instant ill will.
That's instant, right? Because the Lakers aren't even a contender. Like, if I can easily kind of permanently be playing small. Also, like, Jalen's big and fucking strong as shit. Well, I'm leaving that part out, but it's not going to be Niang, and it's not going to be Pritchard.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. But my point is, I think you asked if Niang will be the starting power forward.
He can be a lot better. I think we need to be putting better players in the team because even without Tatum, like, he's already running around in the swimming pool. He's playing Marco Polo already. And so we should be maybe ready that he comes back for the playoffs. So Shireman, my boy, I think it's going to be a big. People keep laughing at me and say, watch out for Shireman this year. They think I'm joking. I ain't joking. Watch out for Shireman this year.
Should've never sent him to pick up the work for. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in the rush, they was all goners.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. And let me start by saying sorry, Chudlings. I cut off a little piece of the intro song there for the fans at home. My bad. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Monday, July 14th. We are back. Much to discuss with you all. I'm your host, Doug Outs. With me, as always, is King Chuddy. Chuddy, how you been? Long time no chat, at least on air. How are things?
Certainly been too long. Things are good in these dead months of summer. So, I don't have much to do, but there aren't as many sports to watch. I've been loving the summer league. The Chuddy heads at home will be happy to know my finger couldn't be more on the pulse with what's been going on. Draft, summer league, free agency. I've been there, and we've had a pretty busy offseason, so I'm excited to dig in.
Yeah, you've been absolutely locked in and everything. I've been following. You've taken over the Twitter responsibilities in the summertime, and
big responsibility.
There's some really good live tweets, summer league live tweets I was following along with tonight. A lot of good stuff there. But yes, we're definitely gonna talk some summer league. Anyone's looking for an update on that, we're gonna get into a little bit of that anyway. We talk about who's gonna be playing for the Celtics next year, because I think some of the guys playing in summer league are going to have an impact for the Celtics this year. But we're here to break down kind of everything that's going on, who's here, who's out, what might happen next, what the plan could be moving forward. So I think we'll kind of start. It's been last time we were with you guys, the Porzingis trade had just happened. The Drew trade had just happened. We're a little shell-shocked. Those guys are gone. We talked about them a lot already. Since then, Luke Cornett obviously signs the big deal. I think it's like $41 million, was it, with the Spurs? We kind of knew Luke was going to get paid. I think we wanted him obviously to stay, but he earned that contract. And it sounds like Al is also not likely to sign with the team based on Brad Stevens at a press conference last week. If you didn't see that, we'll talk a little bit about that. So two more guys that are out the door. Before we get into who's back and what the team's going to look like, I think, Luke and Al obviously deserve a little bit of time for us. Like I said, with Luke, I can't be really mad. The guy earned the hell out of that paycheck. He's made like $14 million career. So now to get to go there and to get to go to the Spurs too, it's good to see. I'm happy for the guy. I hate that he's gone. I wish we still could have him, but happy for him. So start with Luke. I think you'd probably echo those sentiments. There's no ill will.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone could possibly have any animosity towards Luke. Crazy to think he came in here back in that Fournier trade and then salary dumped Tice, right? And that's how he came. It was him and Mo Wagner, I think, who came over, and that's when we salary dumped Tice.
Yeah,
people were pissed at him. We looked at him and said, who is this goofy, tall center who tries to shoot threes but not very well? He was a complete afterthought. I think people were shocked as like, why is this guy even still on the roster a couple of years after that deal? And all the credit in the world to Luke, like just completely reshaped his game into basically just a rim running center who plays around the basket, leans into his strengths, maybe as much as like anyone in the NBA. He just absolutely knows what he can do and doesn't try to do anything that he can't do. And he's good at the things he does. And he turned himself into a hell of a basketball player. And like you said, he deserved to get paid. Obviously not a contract that the Celtics were in a position to match, given the financial constraints. So it's a shame. But this is kind of like what we wanted and prepared for all along when we started along this path with the Jays. It's like we need these kind of development projects to hit for cheap, and then we need to kind of keep replacing them. And Luke is an example who I don't think we ever even thought would become an example. So it's such credit to him, how good of a player he became. He took a discount, obviously, last year to come back, try to run it back, and this year had his best year ever. Also, I mean, he's already in his late 20s, so this could definitely be his best chance in life to cash in on this kind of payday. So, like I said, not sure how anyone could have a single bad thing to say about
No, I don't
Luke.
think anyone did. I was more just like, it would have been funny if you did just have, like, if there was someone that did, I would, like, honestly love to have him on the show. It'd be a great just take to fire out. But yeah, no, Luke's a legend. I loved, he's wearing number 7 because he said he wants to be 1/3 of the player that Tim Duncan was for the Spurs. So, we'll obviously miss his sense of humor. When I saw him at that Woo Sox game in the offseason, I thought maybe he'll take the discount. $41 million is hard to turn away at that stage. Like, I feel like there's a lot of people around him saying you have to take that.
No, definitely. And it's also, I think, important to point out the last 2 years aren't guaranteed. So it's really like a 2-year, $25 million deal or something like that. Still, obviously, a lot over those next 2 years.
He's gonna earn those. He's gonna earn
those.
Years.
I think he's gonna fit in great. They got Olynyk too, so a couple of old Celtic legends alongside Wembanyama. Fun front court. I'll have no problem rooting for that team. So no ill will there. And also, from the Celtics side, like, I'd be very curious because I think Brad in that presser that you talked about did say that he made him an offer. I'd be curious to know if it was basically just like, yeah, we can give you the minimum. Maybe we can give you the taxpayer, which is 5.7 mil. But like, I wonder how close we were willing to go to whatever he ended up getting on that annual value, which was like 11 million-ish, I think. I want to say.
Yeah.
I wonder if we got to like half of it.
It's 4 years. Yeah, about that.
So just curious to know how bad we would have wanted him, like, and how much we might have started to think, like, do we actually value this guy as like our long-term starting center to the point where we'll give him $10 million a year, or given the finances and everything else?
Would you? I would.
Well, it's a tough choice. Obviously, the Celtics weren't willing to, and again, the Celtics.
I guess that's easy to say
like,
from the perspective of where our front court is now, which we're gonna obviously get into in the next segment here. But
and I think also a really tough part of the job that Brad has done a really good job at is kind of selling high, and almost the old Belichick, like, get out a year too soon before a year too late. And it's like, you want to be the team who pays Luke Cornett the minimum and gets good value. Maybe you don't want to be the team that's paying him $12 million a year and fans are this guy,
that contract's going to look like a steal by the time it's done. He's going
to
play that one.
I hope so. I'm genuinely rooting for it, but I also understand, kind of from the Celtics point of view, being like, all right, Luke Cornett isn't the guy we can, like, extend ourselves on to, like, rely on the end of the Tatum era. So
of course. Okay, so the other one obviously is Al. So again, talking about the front court issues, Al's most likely gone. I think pretty much definitely gone is kind of the way it was. I forget what was the exact quote that Brad had. He's like, did he say not likely?
I think he said it's unlikely. But unlikely. Yeah, the latest piece of reporting today from Mark Spears, if you trust him, basically said it's the Warriors are the favorites, and he said the Lakers are still, like, in the mix, and then it's the Bucks and the Hawks. And those, or retirement, is still an option too. So, but it was weird because in that same story, he also said the Warriors were the favorite, but then it sounded like he was saying he didn't want to go far from his family, and his home's in Boston and Atlanta. So I was like, what are you saying? But anyway, I mean, hard to know what Al's thinking, and it's like kind of funny at this point, the way free agency is now. It's such a flurry, everyone signs, and it's almost now it's like the whole Al Horford showcase. Like, all eyes are on him. He's really the only impactful free agent left on the market. It's kind of his show.
I would not feel very good if even the Warriors don't really love that. Like, as far as
certainly would love
still being able to root for the guy.
Yeah.
This is obviously there'll be no long term ill will, but if he goes to the Lakers, that's instant ill will. That's instant ill will.
Because the Lakers aren't even a contender. Like, if I can easily kind of forgive something if it's like truly a perfect situation. And that's why you said the Warriors. I would hate the Warriors, but I at least could understand, like, he'd basically be their starting center, play with Curry, Butler, Draymond. It's like already the old ass team, bring in Horford. Like, that at least makes sense to me, and you could talk yourself into it working. On the Lakers, it's just like, dude, this team sucks. You're gonna have to do way too much. Like, why uproot your life and all this shit to go there for that?
There's probably no way he's going to the Lakers, but
no, I was actually surprised
when that did have some smoke early. When that did have some smoke earlier, I was like, whoa. And I think they mentioned teams in the East. Did he mention Milwaukee specifically? Or is that the speculation? Oh, okay.
Well, in Spears' article today, he said Atlanta and Milwaukee have emerged as.
I feel like Milwaukee, obviously not to the same extent as the Lakers, but it's kind of like, okay, so you leave to go to Philly and then Milwaukee.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great. And again, that one to me would also be weird because it's like you've got Giannis and Miles Turner there, and like even if Al goes there, I mean, anything could happen in the East, but like, is that really a contending team? Like, I don't know. It's kind of sketchy.
Yeah. If he's gonna knife you, you want it to at least be to a contender. But again, like I said, long term, Al will always be a Boston legend. But
of course,
those Lakers reports were quite disturbing. But it sucks too that he's gone. I think that's going to be a big, like, whole locker room wise. Like, I feel like there's going to be a big shift. Do you think that this is all kind of related? And this might be a bigger question when we get into like the whole roster this season. But like, if Tatum's injured, do you think it was even? I feel like there was no shot he was leaving until that happened.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even consider it.
100%. And I think, I want to say it was like Wendy even basically said that on a podcast recently where he's like, Tatum's injury changed everything. And he's like, I definitely don't think Al Horford's looking for a new home. So I think that's the other thing where you would talk about holding ill will towards Al. And not that we would, but I think behind the scenes, there's more of like, I feel like Brad and Boston are almost telling him like, just go, Al. Like, I don't know. He said they made him an offer, but again.
Fuck that. Sign him.
I'm not saying I support it. I just feel like they're not like trying as hard as they could be to get him to come back. I think they've kind of given him the green light of like, hey, if you want to play, go ahead and like go chase a ring.
Chase a ring here.
I think he would if Tatum was healthy.
All right,
do you disagree that's what's happening? I just don't get the sense that the Celtics are like trying to sign him, and he's like, nah, I don't want to come back.
Well, yeah, like, are they having like meetings? You're saying they might just sort of be
like, it doesn't sound like they're in these negotiations at all. And again,
that's weird. Like, why would they not be with how much we need front court depth? Like, if he wants to come here, like, it's like I hope they offered him something. I hope they're not just like he's like, hey,
he said they
give
did
me the minimum.
I think that's my assumption of like, hey, here's the standard minimum is on the table. Like, if you really want to come back, like, obviously you can, but we're probably not going to be contending for a title this year. You might have one good year left. Like, feel free to see what's out there and take your time and do whatever. And maybe he'll just retire. Like, it sounds like that's very much still on the table too. So maybe he takes all this time and then retires. Or maybe now Atlanta's on the table of like, they seem like, they might be kind of decent this year and a down East, and that'd be kind of cool. Like going back to Atlanta, obviously the team that drafted him where he played most of his career. So that would, from all like the rumored teams that I've heard, I think that would be the easiest to stump.
Well, yeah, that one, of course. That's like that's going back to whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to go forward. You got to go back.
Yeah, exactly. So I would have no ill will towards that. I mean, no ill will towards Al.
No ill will. I'm just saying it would more be like hard to like still root for him in certain jerseys.
Don't go full. No, that's exactly a great way to put it. That's it. Don't go full.
And I think Milwaukee, if Philly didn't happen, I think Milwaukee could stomach. But it's kind of like okay. But again, I don't know.
We'll see what happens. We'll have much more to say on Al when there's actual Al news.
Right, exactly.
We definitely get the sense that he's at least not coming back. I'd say it'd be borderline unlikely if he came back to the Celtics.
Yeah.
Which makes me sad.
So the people who are here now. All right, so Simons, Niang are here now. We talked a little bit about them already. They come in the trades. What's that? Yeah,
we weren't sure they would be here,
but then Niang was at Summer League, so I feel like if he's at Summer League watching, that's kind of telling me, all right. Also lost the 2 second-round picks in the Simons trade, something that's changed since we traded Drew away. Something with his physical, they got a little nervous. They said it's not bad enough to cancel it, but we're going to get back the second-round picks. So we lose those 2 second-round picks, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could have split the difference and gotten one. But
yeah, I haven't seen the medicals.
I just feel like if it's bad enough to give back 2 but keep him, it's like you could have just given back 1. I don't know. If it's that bad, I don't know.
Maybe.
But we lose the picks. And then also signing Luka Garza, Josh Minnott. Why not Minnott? And obviously Hugo Gonzalez, the draft pick, who's looked pretty decent in some of the Summer League games so far. So that's kind of who's here now. We talked about who's gone. Now that's who's here. We mentioned it earlier. The front court is worrisome. I know you think that Luka Garza, the per 36 minutes are nice, right?
Very, very nice.
Very nice. So where do we think about this team? Because I
Yeah.
I just still think overall, if you have Jaylen Brown and Derek White at least out there, the team should at least the floor should at least be a certain level, especially in the East, and we'll get dive into that more. But the front court obviously is an issue. What do you see for the roster right now? Like, is it as bad as it feels? Because it feels bad.
It feels bad.
But it's very top heavy, but it feels like that it's a steep cliff.
Yeah, and I'm honestly not sure it's even that top heavy as it has in the past. Like we've been for the last few years,
Tatum is out. We know that
we've been top heavy and we've had depth. Like we've had the best of both worlds again, which is why we've kind of known forever this wasn't sustainable. In terms of what we have now, I think first of all to go back to the trades because the Drew and the KP trades happened so fast. That was almost like the first flurry of the NBA offseason. And I think as we've had time to kind of see what else has played out, I think it's important to kind of give Brad some credit where people were questioning some of these trades. And you look now at what other teams are doing to get off money and any other like guy who wants a trade. Like there's no market for anyone who makes more than like $20 million. Brad got off those 2 contracts in like a fucking day. So
pretty quick.
I think he was like ahead of the game on that. And I think he saw this coming of like, it's not going to be easy to move money in this new CBA. I feel like there's deals here. I'm taking them. So I think he deserves maybe more credit than we even gave him at the time for, again, sucks that we lost those 2 picks. We don't know what the deal is with Holiday, but at the end of the day, we didn't really give up assets, which a lot of people thought we would have had to. And if we were still holding these guys now, maybe we would have to, based on what else we've seen play out. So that seemed to, I guess, work out. Again, obviously you never want to lose those 2 good of players, but at the end of the day, for considering we basically knew they were gone to end up with not having given up any picks and to bring back Niang and Simons is not terrible. Now Simons, interesting player. You know, the fact that he's still on the team, you keep hearing basically every day that they're still trying to move him. But again, like I just said, he makes what, 27 million, even on an expiring, like that's not easy to move, as we're now seeing. So I think at this point, it's a situation where it's like, we'll keep him and see how it plays out. Maybe he plays for us. Maybe it's a great fit. Maybe he needed to change the scenery, or maybe even that just restores his value. We could trade him before the deadline. Maybe he just expires next year. Maybe we extend him. Like, who knows? I don't hate like that gamble. He'll at least be fun to watch, if nothing else. Like, even if the team isn't very good, he'll be a fun player to watch. Niang, I think it's kind of maybe the opposite. Like, nothing fun or sexy about him, but he's a solid role player. And right now we kind of need those. Like, he's probably our 7th or 8th guy. He's a big body. He can hold his own on defense. He can make open threes. Like,
he looked a little trim in that picture that you sent.
He did.
He was in.
I
I didn't realize it was him at first. I go, who the fuck is this little handsome fellow at the end there? Yeah,
absolutely. So but I mean, he's a real
player. I'm a little bit in on Niang now.
He's a real player for that money, and another guy expiring $8 million. Nice piece of business where I think he'd be someone that could be traded on that contract. I think that'd be easy enough to dump. And we should say after all these moves, we are still, I think, like 300,000 above the second apron. So no matter what, there will be another move. Yeah, because when we sign these other guys, again, it's a few $100K, and we have till the trade deadline. So it's like that's easy to get off of. But we do still need to cut money. It's now just we have basically now we can dump anyone. Where before it was like we clearly have to get rid of these guys to do this. Now we're there. It's just we can basically do anything. We could probably waive someone or something. Not really a big deal.
We get under it by like 1.5 or by like 10 if we trade a certain guy. Like you can. That's what you're saying? Like, we're just going to get under it, but it could be by any number now.
Exactly. We're not so far over. Yeah, any trade where we give up literally any money. And, like, again, we're saying it's hard to dump Simons for $27 million. Niang, basically every team has, like, an exception. They could just absorb that. So even if worst comes to worst, we have to give up, like, a future second just to get off Niang's $8 million, that's at least, like, easy peasy. Shouldn't be a problem to do. And especially because Niang is a playable player. Like, I could see a contender who's like good but a little shallow on the bench being like, yeah, we could use the shit out of Niang as our 7th man. So maybe he's actually a commodity at the deadline.
Shouldn't we be good and shallow at the bench? I feel like that's what
we are right now, and he's going to play for us. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think it's good that to have guys who could become an asset if that happens.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, like how do you feel about Niang being the starting 4 for the season?
Not great. I mean, I guess it's kind of semantics in terms of who's like
1 to 10
starting, but I think the lineup, like the best lineup will be, I think, all of our quote unquote good players, which is some combo of Pritchard, White, Hauser, Jaylen, and Simons are probably now like our 5 best players. Unfortunately, they all kind of play guard.
So you're saying you don't even think he's gonna? Well, you think he might start, but not play.
He might like quote unquote start, like you said. But then when like rubber meets the road and it's a real game, like in crunch time, I expect 4 of those guys to be on the floor with basically like Jaylen and Hauser playing the 3 and the 4, and we'll just kind of permanently be playing small. Also, like Jalen's big and fucking strong as shit. Well, I'm leaving that part out, but it's not going to be Niang and it's not going to be Pritchard. Yeah. So we'll get to that. But my point is, I think you asked if Niang will be the starting power forward. He might start, but I think, like I said, I'd rather see more of either Hauser or Jaylen playing the quote unquote 4, and we'll just kind of live with somewhat of a height disadvantage. I don't know. But you could do worse. You could do worse than George Niang. I know people hate him because of that shit with Jaylen on the sideline and whatever. Yeah. But again, I think he'll endear himself to the Celtics. He plays hard. He's got a little bit of edge to him. And again, he's like a 5-tool player. They say you can like do everything. He's just only like 1 or 2 stars at every tool. But he doesn't have a lot of
1 or 2 stars out of what? 5? Like a 5
maybe 2.5. He's like average at all 5 tools, which it makes for like a decent player.
I feel like he's being a really good like gym runs kind of player, just like.
But yeah, I'm sure. But I mean, he's had a solid career. He's hung around this long. And again, in the right context, then the Celtics context might be good. Just chuck open threes. Who knows? Like, we'll see.
Yeah, he does shoot threes well.
Same
that's
for
one
Simons.
thing, yeah.
Same for Simons. Both of those guys.
They'll certainly help with the amount of threes that we can shoot and make. So
with the green light
again, and from the area too, you got to maybe think that might kind of keep a guy motivated. Yeah, I don't know.
Definitely,
if players really care about that shit at this stage of their careers, but
I think he'll be fine. And I think he's another guy who, if the year goes well, even like there's no need to get rid of him. He could be another guy if he likes it here. Be like, dude, we're gonna be good next year. Tatum's back. You can be a real bench player. Might sign like a cheap deal, stay around his hometown. So could be like a little investment in the future too, keeping him around.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
All right. Let's talk about the other guys, Luka, Garza, Josh Minnott.
Sure.
So is this a case of so both guys played for Minnesota last year?
Yep. So
don't play really in Minnesota. So now they're coming here. Probably gonna at least have to have Luka Garza playing a good amount. Is this a one man's trash, another man's treasure type situation? Is this, like you mentioned too, you kind of want to get guys who get them early on before they reach that potential, and then, hopefully by the time it happens, replace them? Is this like a situation, like I said, one man, is this treasure for us, trash for them?
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously the hope. I kind of mentioned this. We've become the guys taking on these guys, where it's almost like a reverse Neesmith situation. At least would be the hope that the guy goes in, never really cracks the rotation, gets an opportunity. Another team, is all over it with the scouting department, targets these guys, and is like, we see a bigger role for you, and that you can be an impact. Hopefully, with even if one of these guys hits, but I mean, obviously, ideally, you get both. They've obviously been targeting the 2 guys. Garza, he was like one of the best players in the country in college at Iowa. Long career there, really good player inside and outside, especially on the offensive end. Came in just like a little slow for the NBA game, has had a hard time hacking it on defense. But like you said earlier in the show, kind of teased it, the per 36, but there have been a few rare opportunities where he does get big minutes and he's put up numbers, points and rebounds, that kind of thing. So again, the defense is always going to be a struggle, but on offense in this system where I think he'll be kind of motivated to just let it fly freely, I could see it working out, and I could see him carving out a real role, at least offensively. If he can kind of just make it work on the other end of the floor, I think he could help us. And again, I think given the options we have, it makes a lot of sense, and very smart, kind of low cost flyer that, maybe he's the next Luke Cornett. Not the same kind of player, but in the same way of like, you take it off the scrap heap, suddenly he's a serviceable role player for you.
Yeah. What did can he hit threes? Is he a 3-point shooter? You mentioned like next Luke wasn't really like
Luke
was lights out in the Knicks. I saw the mixtape 3.
Not necessarily the next Luke in like stylistically, but just in terms of that kind of
just like a mini,
you find a guy
kind of.
Yeah. Not that their games are the same, but Garza is a really good scorer, really good touch. His 3-point percentage hasn't been great, but he's got like a smooth stroke. So again, I think in the right setting where this could be it in this offense, where they might just be like, dude, you have the green light. We're not pulling you out of the game. Like, you're going in, just let it fly, see what happens. I think he could really find something there on offense, which would be great to see him running some pick and pops. And then the other thing, like we said, one man's trash. That other team, at least, like, is Minnesota. We talked about, during the show when we were doing it in the conference finals. Those conference finals were all about depth. That Minnesota team, obviously, they lost to OKC, but they were really deep. He had Nas
Super
Reed,
deep.
Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert. Before that, Karl Anthony Towns ahead of him. So, yeah, he never really got a chance to play, but there was never really much of a path to playing time on a team that was competing in the Western Conference Finals last 2 years. So it's not like there was ever a time where it's like, hey, let's give Luka Garza a try. So I think there is some hope that, the second team puts him in the right situation and he succeeds. And I think the same is true with Minnott to a lesser extent, but I saw a lot of things I liked out of him. Really athletic wing, going to need to learn how to shoot the ball a lot better. But again, I think he can eat some minutes. He can make it stick. He can play D, athleticism, bring some energy. Already having some funny quotes. Great to see. I just love that they're both out at Summer League. Like, they might suck, but I still love that they want to go support the team. Is great.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. I mean, I don't know if guys are just there. I mean, is it still in Vegas or that's just till the championship, right?
Yeah, it's all in Vegas. So you're thinking of
all in Vegas. So I mean,
you're thinking of the NBA Cup. They go to Vegas for the
Vegas.
semis. This whole thing's in Vegas. So yeah, I mean that's what you said with like Niang. A lot of these guys probably just planned to be there ahead of time, and then they're just like, oh, we're teammates now. Let's hang out. Tillman there too. Interesting to note. Just quite the crew of Celtics to be representing courtside.
Yeah,
showed me that picture a year ago. I'm at a
Brad was courtside tonight with
Billy Banners. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. I think these are good, like I said, low risk flyers. I think you have to trust like our scouting department in knowing what they're looking for. I always liked Minnott. Garza, again, I liked him in college. I don't know if we'll see if it can translate at all, but again, worthy investments. I think Minott's second year even as like a team option. So basically minimum deals for a year. We'll see. Hopefully something sticks, and if not, like really no loss there. So yeah. We'll see. Right. I think they could definitely be in a rotation.
Okay, so are we talking Luka Garza is going to play out of necessity at this point, but the other Minnott is might not even play much at all? Because I feel like we're being very overly positive right now, but I do have some concerns with the roster.
Definitely, they're fair enough.
Like the stuff we're talking about here is just kind of like I know Tatum being out changes a lot. But I still just feel like we shouldn't be this bad. I don't think we're going to get this bad this fast. Like, it's just kind of and we've talked about it off air, and it's like this is like all going to plan. Like you're like it's all going to plan, and it just feels like, I mean, this is a rough plan, and I get that the whole CBA is out of whack, and that's a whole different can of worms about how the NBA is a CBA that like the average fan can't even like enjoy and understand. You can't even like play GM at home without getting like a degree in sports marketing and like sports law and shit like that. It's just ridiculous. But like, I guess this maybe can take us into our next, but like, are we gonna fucking suck next year? Because I feel like with Jaylen there and Derek White there, like that's at least, and like even to another extent like Pritchard, Hauser, and those guys too. But I'm talking about those two as like your two stars. Like we've talked about them as all stars, like Derek White for all star. Like we've all wanted that. We've all said he should do that. He should be picked to be on the team. Jaylen, obviously all NBA, like $300 million contract. We've been huge Jaylen supporters. Like I hear Jaylen talking like he's gonna just step into this bigger role. So to me, it's like I think we can be a lot better. I think we need to be putting better players in the team because even without Tatum, like what if he's already running around in the swimming pool? He's playing Marco Polo already. And so we should be maybe ready that he comes back for the playoffs. So if we just had this dog shit team, I shouldn't say that. That might be a little too mean. If we had this like lackluster team, it's just kind of like, I get the whole apron implications, but it's just kind of like, I don't know. It feels like there's way too much of a punt going on right now. And I think when you have those guys, you can't just waste the season. Like, you can't take any of that for granted, especially where Tatum might come back early. But I don't know. I feel like you're being a little too like, yeah, they might be all right. And this limited, it's just like, dude, what the fuck happened to the team here? What the hell happened?
Well, a lot happened. And I mean, again,
I know a lot of things we've already talked about all that.
We knew were more or less coming. I think, again, we said the Tatum thing changes everything as we knew it would. And I think that's allowed them to kind of look at this a little differently where they're never going to use the term gap year. But it is, I think everything's so kind of in flux because it really is. So you say, like, this isn't good enough in the front court. And yeah, obviously it's not, but there's no one to go get. There's just nothing like that they can really do at this point. If something falls into their lap, great. But for now, like I said, they're still over the second apron. Like they still have to shed money from this team right now. So the other thing is like, yeah, there's obviously still good talent on this team, as we know. But at the same time, you and I talked all year about how the NBA has changed to the point where like you need a lot of good players and you can't have any weak links. Right now, it's undeniable that the Celtics at the center position,
so many weak links,
might be the worst center room in the entire league. Like we might not be able to stop anyone or get rebounds or score inside, which are like Jaylen could be the best player in the league, but in the modern NBA, like it's not a one-man show. We've seen it in past years where a guy can be one of the best players in the league, like better, frankly, than we've seen Jaylen ever be. And, you know, like you said, White's really good. Pritchard, an expanded role, we'll see. Hauser, we'll see. But it's like if Pritchard and Hauser suddenly go from being your 7th and 8th guys to your 3rd and 4th, like that could just be a really tough scene, you know? It's I don't like want you know, like again, I'm not trying to be
I just think that even if I just don't think that like, so if you're like, well, Tatum being gone, it's like, well, if so say Tatum wasn't gone,
yeah,
like
Al would be
this
back.
Is the roster they'd be trotting out, or because the plan had just been to keep being in the apron? Because it sounded like all year the plan was to get under the second apron no matter what.
Yes.
So now that Tatum's gone, we still haven't even been able to do that, and this is what it looks like when we do that.
So here's the
like,
thing.
what are we gonna do when he's when he's here? Aren't we just gonna have to go back over the apron again to get the team?
So there's a lot. No. There's a lot. So there's a lot of things different. For one, if Tatum was healthy, we've already said that would probably mean Al was back. And then again,
we're never planning on going under the second apron though. That's
no. So we'd be doing more. We'd be moving with more urgency to get off the money of Simons and Niang and bring back players that make more sense. We'd be using assets to build up the team. But at this point, if Tatum's not going to be in, and again, we can keep saying Tatum's going to come back. We also keep talking about how the Celtics have to save Tatum from themselves. I think, like with a lot of things, there's a wait-and-see approach, but I think there's a much better chance than people maybe want to accept that he just doesn't play at all and completely waits till next year. And if that is the case, again, we've talked about Simon's money's coming off the books, Niang's money's coming off the books. If anything, we'll be under the tax. So we'll have all these assets that we've saved, potentially rooms in salary caps to even sign guys, or if not, at least go big game hunting with our assets, with our contracts, and be able to get something on the trade market. So, like, I have no concerns that we'll be able to build it back up. I think if we really wanted to build it back up, we could do it right now. I think there's just no urgency given the situation. And at the end of the day, like you said, it might suck to sit here and say that, but I think it makes sense. So again, I don't think they're punting on the season, but I think they're in a position where right now, unless a deal that makes sense, like kind of comes into your hands, which like I said, right now, you and I, we're in a lot of group text. You know, I'm canvassing the league. If there's a deal out there, I'm looking for it. I'm sending you, hey, maybe we can sign Richaun Holmes, who can fill some minutes for us at center. So it's like, I'm trying to find guys who will fit.
That was a great, Richaun Holmes, like it. I said, no, I don't know enough about, I don't want to like shit on the guy, but when you, I go, Richaun, why are you sending me something about Richaun Holmes? Like, could be front court depth. I go, holy fuck. If that's what we're counting on. But exactly. He's a decent player. He's all right. I looked into him, did a little bit of due diligence. Playing on the Wizards. Don't see a lot of the Wizards action.
We'll talk more about the center options. But again, in terms of just building the team, like again, if Tatum was healthy, I think there'd be much more urgency to like, all right, let's flip Simons into something that makes sense. Like then we'd actually target a center and be like, we're willing to give up draft capital. At this point, honestly, I've reached a point where I don't think there's anything wrong with going into the year like, we're fucking going to try to win as hard as we can. These are the players we have. Let's see what happens. And then I kind of think it's on the players, the stars, and the depth to a certain extent to like prove that they're worth investing in. Make it so that Brad does feel that urgency to go trade a center. Like if we start the season off 12-25, then I think it's just going to be like, yeah, this is a gap year. Tatum, you're sitting out for the year.
You think that's a possibility?
Get a draft pick. I mean, I don't think anything's off the table with the center rotation we just talked about. Like,
is it going to be that bad? Is it going to really be? Am I going to be shocked when I see what this looks like on an NBA court now?
One injury to a top guy, again, God forbid, but Brown's still recovering from surgery. Like,
well, yeah, obviously, if Brown or White go down, that changes everything. I'm saying,
okay, but I'm saying, no. So this is first of all my negative spin. I'm saying that's like the worst case. Things go 12-25. You're just like, none of these centers can play at all. The guys we brought in suck. We basically have 2 or 3 good players. It's not happening. Why are we doing this? Like, let's kind of shut it down. Basically do what the Sixers did this year. Soft tank. Get the best pick. Get Tatum all the way healthy. Come back next year with a stud in the lottery and like cap space and the ability to totally retool the team.
See,
like,
that is...
But that's the worst case. I'm saying now on the other hand, maybe it starts off and you're like, wow, Kata took a big leap in the offseason. Garza and Minnott are actually good. Simons is going to be the 6th man of the year. Everything's going well. And it's the opposite. We're at 25-12. Then maybe Brad starts to be like, well, how close is Tatum? Then it's getting those deadlines. Like, all right, who can I go get as a center? Because like during the year, guys will come available. It's more of just like, is it worth spending money on? So I think, again, we've talked about the tax and the aprons and all that is at the very end of the league year. So essentially you have at least until the trade deadline to finalize that situation. So I don't think there's anything wrong with at least, like I said, I don't think anything massive is going to shake out between now and then in terms of our roster. I could be wrong, but as of now, I think this is more or less the crew. So I think there's nothing wrong with starting it off. Maybe Brown comes out and looks like an MVP candidate. White steps it up and looks like an all-star. All these centers are flying around and you're like, fuck, this team's good. All right, let's make moves. Let's get Tatum back. Now we're back in. But I think it's like fine to play it out that way and things go completely opposite way. And you're like, this is why we didn't really invest. Let's duck under the tax, trade these guys away, get as bad as we can. And hopefully we get a fucking top 3 pick next year and everything's gravy again.
Jesus. That's
I just think everything's in play.
Spectrums. I know there's spectrums. Yeah, that's every end of it. But
can you see them all now that I've broken them down? Like,
no, yeah. I mean, it's never an issue of seeing him. I'm just more like,
and I'm not advocating.
How did they come to this? How did we get here?
Yeah.
I mean, I know, but
right, it is tough, and I also think everyone's shitting on the
part.
CBA, and I think there's stupid things about the CBA, and I think the timing's bad. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I also do think the point of the CBA is good, and I think it is smart that you make it so that teams can't just undo their mistakes by spending their way out of it. Like the Celtics, we knew we were going to have to get off that money. It was worth it for the 2-year run. But I think in the grand scheme of things, we've seen this parity, and we've seen that it is important to manage.
It's hard to judge if this is the right thing to do because you have to see how it all plays out. Because again, 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. But I think everyone's shitting on it. I think the ultimate idea is you're seeing now that dumb teams are getting screwed again because you can't just give out shitty contracts. Like every move your organization makes is going to matter so much. So I think it's obviously a tough time to convince Celtics fans of that. But I think down the road when it's like Brad Stevens and Zara and those guys really get to go to work, you're going to see how much of an advantage it actually creates. And the smart teams will be rewarded, and the dumb teams won't just be able to luck out of it by just spending it away. So we had 5 guys making $30 million, like that. Maybe that shouldn't be allowed.
Well, yeah, the chickens are going to have to come home to roost. I did not know they were going to absolutely roost the fuck out of us. Oh, they're roosting.
But also, I mean, even the fact that we're still kept Tatum, Brown, 250 million guys, and Derek, a 30 million guy, like. That's how it should be. You kind of you can pay 3 guys and you build around it on the margins, which is what we have to do now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, like I said, we were being positive. I didn't want to totally derail, but I think you mentioned earlier, like what if Jaylen comes out, plays like an MVP type season? Sounds like he's under the impression that he's capable of and this is a kind of a thing that I feel like we never. Well, hold on.
You want to talk about comments? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a pertinent time to talk about now where it's like, and I'm not even trying to take them out of context. Like, I know some people are like, oh, he thinks he's so fucking good. I actually do think he's really good. And so my question is like, is there a side of this where we've never really considered that maybe he is, and this isn't like trying to create a hot take thing, but is there a chance that Jaylen is or can be almost as good as Tatum, where it's like, we don't need to change everything and split them up, but it's like, maybe it is like he is sacrificing a lot for the good of the team and for the system. And why can't he have a wicked 6 season and be so it'll almost be like, oh, wait, we did have Tatum, like a Tatum and White type season of players. Does that change your thoughts on how the season could go?
Well, no, because I think so for one, I am all on board with Brown thinking that way. And I don't think he said anything wrong. I think way too many people are getting mad. I just saw a lot of Celtics people getting mad about Brown's comments, just as if he's so unaware and all this shit. I don't even think it was a dig at Tatum. People were taking it as him trying to say that he can be just as good. I don't think it was a dig. I think it was more just, why wouldn't you want him to be confident? So that's whatever. In terms of what it actually looks like,
he said that a million times before anyway. Yeah, he's already said that.
People always just like to get mad, but whatever. I thought it was totally fine, for the record. I'm glad that you agree. And I just don't think he is that good of a player or that kind of a player. And I also just think the one thing about that is him acting like he's taking some kind of back seat. You just go back through the years. Our entire team is basically just Brown and Tatum. He has as high a usage as any star. His shot attempts are within 1 or 2 of Tatum's. All the stats, he basically has the ball and gets to do shit just as much. Maybe unless he's talking about being the guy who has the ball in his hands at the end of games, he's already getting a ridiculously high usage. I'm not really sure how much higher he can get. That honestly, like as good as he's gotten, I'm not sure the best way to utilize him is just having him like have the ball in his hands and try to run the show the entire game. I think he's almost better playing off the ball and like let White and Pritchard cook and they'll just set you up for points nonstop. So
well,
but I'm bored with what he's saying. If he's just like, I can, play better, shoot better, be more efficient, take us home at the end of games, whatever. But if he's kind of like, I should suddenly have this like Tatum, Luka, Shea kind of role.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to see that too much at all.
But okay, I definitely gotta take some umbrage with I think that like the Tatum role, you can't compare it to like the SGA and the Luka role because I do think Tatum plays so much within like still within the offense. Like the stuff that Tatum does is a lot of times not with the ball in his hands, just who he's pulling away. All we talked about a million times. But I'm not even saying Jaylen needs to like step into the Tatum role to be like that guy. I'm saying maybe in the role you just described where Derek White and Pritchard are doing a lot and he's getting a lot of things set up off the ball for him and kind of playing differently, but like to whatever his strengths are in compared, because there's definitely things that he can do better than other guys, like better than Tatum probably too. And it's like if we play to those strengths instead of, I'm not saying we try to turn him into Tatum, and I don't think that's what he thinks.
I hope.
But I do think that it's like him just having a bigger role might just look different from what like Tatum would look like having a bigger role. But I don't know. I'm kind of high on the idea that I think Jaylen might kind of surprise and play really well and kind of pick up a lot of slack. And again, I don't think that necessarily makes us like this great team for all the reasons we mentioned before about who we're going to be relying on this year for other minutes. But I just think that's like one thing we don't ever talk. We're like, they lost Tatum. It's like we have this guy Jaylen Brown, and I think he's pretty good too, and I think he can play better in whatever that role looks like for him without Tatum there.
Yeah,
and I think that can happen without Celtics fans freaking out every time he says he's happy to get the ball more, because that's going to happen all year, dude.
Yeah,
anytime he has a big game, he's going to be like, I've always been capable of doing this, but just trying to play within the team. And then people are going to be like, how pissed was he about having to take a back seat? So prepare for that, but that's a different story.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see like what the season look like. And even if the team is bad, I think there's a world where Jaylen has a great year, takes a leap, and does more than we've ever seen. And the team just still isn't that good because that's just not nearly enough. So like I think he could do more. I just think in a lot of ways, like, how much more can he really do? So again, I'm excited to see as the lead guy, but I don't think he's had to sacrifice that much in the grand scheme of things. Again, we'll see what that looks like this year, but I am excited to see it. And I just love in general, true or not, that's the kind of confidence you want from your guys. So, they know that Tatum's out and he knows that he has to step up and be the guy. He's, made all NBA teams. Gets paid all that money. Like, I think he knows that and he's ready to go to war for the city of Boston. Like he said on the day he got drafted, I've never changed my belief in that, and I'm not now. So again, I'm obviously not saying like, he's going to lead us on some miracle run to the finals, but I am definitely excited to see what he can do as the lead guy. And I think he definitely can surprise some people. And I would say at this point, I'd be surprised if he didn't at least, make another All-NBA appearance this year. So.
Yeah. All right. I kind of want to, because I remember those comments I saw, you saw people freaking out. I think that could be a really big year obviously it's going to have to be a big year for him, but I just think that he can show that, I think, without necessarily having to try. I don't want people to all year be like, he's trying to be Tatum. I think what his expanded role looks like would look a lot different than what, let's say the shoe was on the other foot and it was Tatum here and not him. What Tatum's expanded role would look like, I think looks different. They look different. Yeah. They're just they're different players. They do similar things. They play the same position and all that, but it's like, I think what their next level are each going to look a lot different.
And I think there's just like a toxic divide amongst Celtics fans, at least on, social media, where it's like, are you a Tatum guy? Are you a Brown guy? It's like, I'm just a Celtics guy. I just like all the players, want them all to do well.
Very sick people.
Yeah, but I think, unfortunately, there definitely is a lot of that out there.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about kind of the two ends of the spectrum. I don't know what you had some. That was like some scary vision and like looking into the future. It's like, what can I do to change? What's that like? Christmas Carol or whatever, where the guy sees the future. He's like, what can I do to change that from happening?
Muppets Christmas
Kinda how
Carol.
I
I
felt.
prefer.
What's that? The Muppets
A
one?
Muppets Christmas Carol.
Oh,
I prefer.
A Muppets Carol. Yeah.
Yes, it is a Dickens
Legendary
novel,
one.
I guess, technically.
Yeah. I prefer it. It's a Muppets movie. All right. Oh, I forgot to mention too when you talked about the Holmes guy. Was it Rashawn Holmes?
Yeah, Rashawn Holmes.
Did you see it? You tweeted out like could be potential like center depth, and it seems like there's some people arguing. I can only guess Portuguese because it seems like they're vouching for Keita.
It's a shot to Keita.
I haven't translated it, but
I haven't seen the tweets, but I think
beef.
it's a good opportunity to maybe talk about the elephant in the room that we've been talking around it kind of the whole way. But let's just address the actual center position at this point. So we've got Neemias Queta, obviously, who I think is going to be the de facto starter on opening night as it stands. Queta was up and down last year. There were moments where he looked great. There were moments where he did not look like an NBA player. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He's got the raw talent. If we could get something close to the best version of Queta on a nightly basis, I think that'd be a really good player that you could get by with. I don't think he'd be an all-star or anything, but I think you could get by in the modern NBA with him being your center if he can channel the best parts of him. And I think there's hope for it with what we saw with another year in this system, developing all offseason, whatever. So we've got Queta. We already talked about Garza that, hopefully he can play some minutes. I think Xavier Tillman is going to re-enter our lives, the forgotten man last year, who we all thought was going to have a big role. I think, again, kind of just out of necessity, he'll get another shot. And then I think it's time to talk maybe about a couple of the guys we've seen in Summer League, because frankly, I've been absolutely thrilled with the play of Charles Bassey. And if the goal is just to find a center who can actually help us win games, I think Bassey may be actually a better option than anything we have on the roster. This is a guy who's played for the Spurs, was kind of coming on
tonight.
He's had a double-double in every game in Summer League. He had, I think, 22 and 15 last game with blocks. He's protecting the rim. He's been an absolute beast. They signed him just out of nowhere. Like, he's currently just signed to the Summer League team. He's not on a two-way. He's just a free agent. So, to me, if they're at all serious about even trying to win, I think it'd be crazy to let Bassey leave Vegas without a deal. This guy, like I said, he was drafted, I think by Philly, actually, cracked, played a little bit, was in the G League, went to the Spurs, again, carved out a fairly meaningful role in San Antonio, even started some games, played pretty well, tore his ACL, unfortunately. I think this is his second year back, first year leaving, and again, we just picked him up. You just watch these Summer League games, he's big, he's athletic, he's good on both ends, he knows where to be, he's made some nice passes, he's finished about 3 or 4 Shulga alley-oops. So, again, I've liked what I've seen. I think he might actually be like maybe the opening night center. I think there's some hope for Charles Bassey, so I think that was a great pickup, and he's been, to me, the star of Summer League, hands down. Just eye test, stats, again, like I said, I think he's had a double-double in every game. That's what we're going to need, because as it stands, we might be the worst rebounding team in the NBA. This guy is a proven professional center. He can score a little bit. He can rebound a little bit. He's just knows what to do coming from that Spurs system. I mean, you got to like that too. So that, to me, is an intriguing option, certainly. And then
they got rid of him and took Luke from us, and now we're going to go take him from them.
Exactly.
Make him pay.
Pulling the old Uno reverse. And then just to finish off the potential center rotation, Kenny Lofton, who's a guy who's been around the NBA. If you haven't seen him, he looks like if Grant Williams doubled in width. This guy is legitimately massive. He looks like he could be protecting Drake May's blind side.
Summer League tonight?
Yeah,
I know.
He's played. Yeah. He's been around the NBA. He's, as they mentioned on the broadcast, this guy's had some odd success. He randomly scored 42 points in an NBA game for the Grizzlies. Right? Yeah. He's short, but he is by far the thickest player in the NBA. And you see
that's exactly what they need to do if they want me to buy in. That's exactly what I need. If they had a nice chunk, like a nice thick guy, I'd be able to go with that.
He hasn't necessarily looked great, but you're just going to need a big body to throw people around, and he can do it. So again, the Celtics currently have 15 men on the roster. I don't know who they're willing to get rid of to bring these guys on. I think Bassey definitely has earned a role. And I think Lofton, it might be interesting if the center's that bad to just have someone in there who could just straight push people around.
Oh, yeah,
and again,
exactly.
He's proven it in the NBA. He scored 42 points in an NBA game. It has happened. He's not that old. Yeah, Lofton scored 42, 43 points in a game for Memphis a few years ago in 2023. So he's had some moments in the NBA already.
That would light the world on fire if he did that.
Yeah. 100%. And again, with our options, that might be the move. And then the final,
working. I think I'm getting, I feel like if you keep withholding some of this info for me, just to get me fired up.
Well,
just so
The final option is our last draft pick. We took Amari Williams out of Kentucky, the Nottingham Nicola, as they've taken to calling him. This guy has amazing court vision. You can kind of run plays through him on the elbow, top of the key. Really, really good passer. Has nice touch. Not much range shooting the ball. I mean, a little bit. He can.
His draft day mixtape, speaking on his touch, his draft day mixtape, I literally couldn't tell who it was the first 10 seconds because it took me a minute to realize it was all passes.
Yep.
I was like, this is a different guy scoring every time. What the fuck is going on?
But it's another kind of look.
Passing.
And he can protect the rim a little. His defense is not bad at all. He needs to put on some strength, and he just needs to get more physical. Like, I just watch him kind of standing around getting bodied while they're giving up one offensive rebound after another. So again, this is a guy they drafted, I think, 53rd overall. He's probably gonna take some time to be a project, but a big man out of Kentucky, you could do worse. And so I think those are basically our realistic options as it stands for guys somewhat on the roster who could potentially give us minutes at the center position. We can't keep all of them, but I think there might be some tough decisions coming up here. Where you kind of have to. You gotta pick through. Well, I think Amari Williams, the drafted guy, they can at least get on a two-way, so he can stick around. But in Lofton, Bassey, Keita, Tillman, Garza, I don't think you can have 5 centers on the roster. Who arguably none of them.
If you have 5 centers, you don't have 3 centers. That's the old 2 quarterbacks. You don't have 1 quarterback thing.
So I still think Lofton's probably a massive.
I mean, what about just like a front court rotation where those 5 guys just like each play like 6? We're doing this about 7 minutes a game, 7 or 8 minutes a game. Just to minimize
I'm just saying you wouldn't
damage.
have enough spots on the roster. We'd have to cut people.
I see.
Real players.
Of course.
Yeah. But yes, one could, in theory. It's physically possible.
If you're just so bad at one position, just get a bunch of players just to rotate so none of them can fuck up for that long. They just won't be able to be out there for long enough to fuck it up.
Yeah. But that was definitely
Brad.
Fun to think about and some options. But I would say the one real one is Charles Bassey. To me, that could be like a real find who, if he's our opening night starter at center, I would say I won't be shocked. And also, like,
take the Celtics.
From what I've seen, that might not be bad.
Yeah, no, he has looked good. And again, I think rebounding was already an issue with our front court when we had like a decent front court or great front court, I should say. I don't know why I'm saying decent, but so that it's concerning. So yeah, I've liked Bassey, and I would love if they just got Lofton. Like I said, if you just have a big ass dude that just keep people away, just do that.
It makes it interesting,
I did get a little translation too on some of the comments earlier. It seems like they were more kind of arguing about Joe. Like, there's a little dissent about.
Interesting.
They may not trust him for. I mean, I don't know if it's lack of Keita minutes, but shout out to those people. Love the interaction anyway.
I think it's
but
fair
they
to
weren't
talk
so
about
much
Joe
after
too.
you. Although it did end with just trust in Keita's talent. So
I'm down to trust in Keita's talent. Like I said, I think
we were huge Keita fans. He was a staple of the Chuddy Bar parlay for a little bit last year.
Exactly. And like I said, with a full offseason where they're prepping it, like last year, we were basically shocked when they dusted him off in the regular season. Remember? Like, it's probably hard to remember back to last year. We all expected basically it would be Porzingis, Al, and Tillman would be the third guy. It was Cornette and Keita, which was borderline shocking. Who knows? We're about to find out. Maybe they just sat him all last year because they knew this was coming. That's my hope.
Yeah, they wanted everyone to think we were weak there. Yeah, that's wherever you're weak, or what is it? Wherever you're strong, pretend to look weak. Is that the old saying? So maybe that's what it is. Yeah, we just had Tillman sitting there.
Yeah, but
all that potential energy.
I think you kind of brought up Mazzulla there, and I think that's kind of maybe the other missing piece of this puzzle, where it's a big year for Joe. Who's been, much maligned, largely, I think, unfairly for a guy who's had just an outrageous amount of success being thrust into just a very challenging position. But this is also a very new position where it's the first time in his coaching career that it basically hasn't been championship or bust expectations. And he hasn't had Jayson Tatum, who's almost, runs the show on the floor from a play-to-play standpoint. So this is a big year for Joe where I think it's like, all right, let's see how much the coach can actually make the difference. Because I think when you're talking about the, spectrum of outcomes, that's a big part of it. Is do we find out that Mazzulla is a genius game manager who can prop us up an extra 5 to 10 wins? Or is it more, he's getting by on system and talent and he can't adjust when that's missing, and suddenly it's like, oh my God, what is Joe doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right about those two. We're one way or the other. I think we're going to find out a lot about Mazzulla this year. I tend to lean on the positive side of it. Having said that, though, I don't think he should be much maligned, but I do think that some malignment is due.
More early
I
in his
think
career,
this.
the much maligned year one.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Is what I meant. I meant
Okay.
he was much maligned at first.
Right. I do think here's the thing, and this might be just like kind of the world we live in now, where everyone's like, if you say one thing bad about someone, it must mean that you think that they suck. And it's like, I think that Missoula did not have a good playoffs this year. I think that he got out coached in that Knicks series. I think we talked about it all the time on the show. He was way too slow to adjust to the fact that Porzingis just didn't have it, and that Luke absolutely did have it. Like you said, a little bit like so stuck in the system, and we've already gone over the merits of whether that's valid or not. Like, you know, he's gotten that far doing that, so we don't need to rehash all that. I'm just saying where I'm at on Missoula. I think he's a good coach. I like Missoula, and I think this year, my plan and my hope is that he continues to be a good coach. But it's like, I don't think it's unfair to be like, he's got to prove himself a little bit more this year. Not on the hot seat, not like 1 foot out the door, none of that shit. But I do think that I'm excited for this year. Like, and I think in his head, he's probably taking that as a good challenge too. Like, we might see just how much of a psychopath he could be this year. And if that plays off, this could be pretty big for him. So
no, and
I don't know if that makes sense. Where it's like, I don't think he's got to be like worried, like, but he had a bad playoffs and it cost us some of those games.
But I think it's a different mindset from where he came in, and from day one, it's almost been like, all right, don't screw this up. And even last year in the play where we mentioned, obviously, with the Knicks thing, it was kind of like, this thing has worked for 2.5 years. Don't screw it up. Now this year, it's like, everything's gone. It's back to square one. So like, whatever you want to try, whatever psycho shit you got up your sleeve, you want to roll out a new system. You want to start 5 guards on opening night, like, and fuck with people. Like, the floor is yours, man. Now is the time to truly show all these crazy ideas you have. We know he has them, but again, I think there's been, you know, we've talked about experimentation in the regular season to an extent, but all kind of with the idea of bringing it home in the playoffs. So I think this year is totally different, where it's like, this is a blank canvas, man, like a coach's dream. Here's your players, what you got to work with. Other than that, like, it's on you. It's your staff. It's your time. You've got the voice. You've proven it in the locker room. You're past the point of just like proving that you deserve to coach. Now it's like, let's see what you can actually do. I'm excited for it. It obviously could go horribly wrong, but overall, I think he's a very, very, very smart basketball mind. I think can do more than he's shown, and I think now that there's kind of no pressure, we're going to see it. So I'm excited for it.
It's a big year. Yeah, it's a big year. It's a big year for him for sure. And again, I think we're all on this podcast are big fans of Joe's, but I don't think it's unfair for people to be like, oh, all right, like, now let's see. We've seen a little bit of what is really good. We've seen a little bit of what's really bad. Now let's see which one he's more of. He was watching the game tonight. I guess I figured he was watching it, but Jordan Walsh got ejected from the Summer League game tonight. In like the first quarter, he was having a sick game too. Kind of too. They're pretty soft texts that he got. Everyone's kind of mixing it up.
First one was really soft.
And Missoula, he said before he even got to his phone in the locker room, Missoula had already texted him saying they loved it. So it's good.
Love that.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a good transition into Summer League in general.
Yeah.
Unless you have anything more kind of beyond that.
No, I mean, that was actually my thoughts exactly. That was a little transition I had. I saw that quote. I go, I got the transition lined up. Before we do that, though, should we pay a few bills before we get into some Summer League action?
No doubt.
All right. Why don't you go ahead first for us?
All right. Chuddy's Corner brought to you by Nick Perino Real Estate, the OG sponsor of Chuddy's Corner, a day one Chuddy head in every sense. Nick has been working hard as a realtor, and he's been reinvesting that time and money into Chuddy's Corner to keep the lights on, make sure this is a successful podcast, because he is just a diehard Celtics fan. He needs this. It's therapy for him. But when he's not seeking his therapy from us, he's out there grinding, doing everything he can for the customer out there in the real estate world. Nick will give you that kind of passion and personal touch that you'd expect from a Joe Mazzulla type, except he will apply it to your real estate situation. He will make sure he does everything in his power to get you in the situation you need, whether you're buying, selling, renting, leasing, whatever. Nick will help you out. You got to go to nickpiraino.com at nickpiraino.com. Reach out to Nick, call him, text him anytime. You can ask him just a simple question. He'll get back to you right away. Not like one of those big companies that's going to, dick you around. Nick is all over it. He will make you feel at ease. You can trust Nick. He'll give you that personal touch, that care, which is what you want and what you need in an annoying field when it comes to real estate. Nick is the guy you want. That's why Chuddy's Corner is brought to you by Nick Perino, the official realtor of Chuddy's Corner.
Thank you very much, Nick. Also, Chuddy's Corner is sponsored by Mario's Roofing. roofing Mario's, siding Mario's, windows Mario's. You just got to call Mario's. Hey, Chud, did you know that 1/3 of all landfill waste was due to construction?
1/3, huh? That's crazy.
1/3. But the good news is in 2024, Mario's recycled over 95% of their roofing waste. How's that? By prioritizing recycling, they're not only able to achieve a smaller carbon footprint, but they're also able to reduce their own dumping cost. That stuff gets expensive. You have no idea how much a few dumps might cost you. Savings that they'll pass on to you, the consumer. So call Mario's today, and together you can do all our part to achieve a greener future. Give Mario's a call today. Tell them Chuddy's Corner sent you. Give them a call, 781-344-2420. You can also visit them at mariosroofing.com. They come out to you. They look at your whole house. They got all types of gadgets that'll help you out, see exactly what you need to have. So make sure you call Mario's Roofing. Mario's Roofing, we won't soak you in order to keep you warm and dry. So thank you to the sponsors. Summer League ball. So Celtics played 3 games. They're 2-1. They lost tonight in a close one to the Heat. That was actually a pretty exciting game. They were down early and kind of came back in the second half. We recap every Celtics game. Summer League's a little bit different, but why don't you kind of tell what have we been seeing, especially some of these guys we just talked about. I think this is a big year. This is a big year for Jordan Walsh. This might be a good time to talk about him because I know he's been playing well there. I feel like it's kind of a put-up year for him. If he can't, crack a spot in the lineup in this situation, I'm wondering, at what point do you start to question his 3rd year in the league? Shireman, my boy, I think it's gonna be big. People keep laughing at me and say, "Watch out for Shireman this year." They think I'm joking. I ain't joking. Watch out for Shireman this year. What have we seen? What do you see in Summer League? What's feeling promising to you? What's feeling worrisome?
Already talked obviously at length about Bassey, which I think has been the most promising and meaningful development, at least for this season, from Summer League, obviously, just because we need a center. But we haven't really talked about the other guys who, been on the team, obviously the draft picks. So Shireman, he's got to be one of the oldest players, obviously, in Summer League at 25 years old, in his 2nd year. You want to see him dominate. He's looked up and down, I would say is fair to say it. He's struggled shooting, but he's not been afraid to get it up. He looks confident out there. He's slinging the ball all around. He's turning it over too. He's looked a little conish at times on defense, a step slow, which is obviously a concern.
5 steals tonight.
Steals, yeah, but in terms of staying with guys, navigating screens, I haven't loved it. I'm worried he's not going to be a huge minus defender if he's seeing major minutes. But again, overall, I'm fine with it. I like the way he plays. He looks like he's, belongs out there. He's confident. The one thing to me, I know he can shoot, but he's just hoisting it up and they just have not been falling. And that's one thing.
System.
I just want to see him make some shots. I know he's a good shooter, but I keep hearing people say he can be our Sam Hauser replacement. And it's I just don't think he's anywhere near the shooter that Hauser is. And that concerns me because if he's not an elite shooter, I just don't know if he's good enough at the other elements of NBA basketball at this point to make up for it. So again, I'm hopeful. And at center, if he was a center, I'd be super enthusiastic. But I think the one position where we are kind of deep is non-point guards. So we mentioned Shireman will be one of those guys. Obviously Brown, Hauser are kind of those guys. And then elsewhere in Summer League, you just mentioned Walsh. Walsh, I've actually been pretty impressed by. All the stuff that we're kind of concerned about, he's just looked good on offense. He's made a couple of really nice passes where he kind of leaves his feet and finds someone, true dimes. He's running the show more, slinging the ball around with confidence. His shot is so much smoother. He's not even hesitating, just burying threes, which is so great to see. He had a couple of those tonight. He sealed his man off tonight, called for the ball. They posted him up, threw it to him. He made a move right up and under, got an and one. So to me, I've just loved the eye test, what I've seen. Again, I think he knows, like what you said, 3rd year guys. Summer League, you never want to overreact to, but I think one of the actual things that is tangible is if a 3rd year guy in Summer League doesn't look good, that's when it starts to be uh-oh.
That's what I was saying. Just the 3rd year guy in Summer League, I'm kind of
exactly
the Steve Buscemi, hello fellow kids. Yeah, I'm he's
for sure. But again, I think his situation's a little unique where we drafted him so young as a project, and he's been on a super deep team. But now he's the leader of Summer League, almost a vet, even though I think he might still be the youngest guy on the actual team. But experience-wise, it's fun to see him kind of take that on, and I just love the confidence he's playing with. Again, we'll see if it sticks, but so far he's been shooting and firing the 3, and it's been going in. Now tonight, he was an animal, super intense, was getting into it. And then on this play you talked about where he got ejected, he was so physical. First of all, I should also mention you get 10 fouls a game in Summer League. He committed 7 fouls he had 7 fouls through not even the end of the third quarter last game.
I did not know that at all about
gives you an idea of the physicality he's playing with. He had a ton again tonight. But then he had this 2 in a row where things were getting chippy. He had just got called for the tech. He was playing really well, though. Like, he was it was making him play better. He had scored a couple times. Then he got way too physical with Larson, fouled him twice as he was trying to dribble it up the floor. The second time, he almost like forearm shoved him actually right into Brad Stevens and Bill Chisholm where they were sitting. So it's funny because you mentioned the Joe text. I'm not sure if Brad was as thrilled. He might have been like, dude, this is your make or break Summer League. You're going to fucking ejected from the game for losing.
They showed one angle. I wish I could show... They didn't show that replay again, but you could see Brad saying something, but I couldn't really read his lips the first time, and they didn't show it again. But
I didn't catch that.
It was an interesting, tough spot for that to end up landing on for him, for sure.
And then he got ejected for a little pushing match.
The pushing match, that's when the second tech came in. He was out. He had 13 points. He was the leading scorer at that point in the game.
He was playing great.
But that first tech, like, him and that guy were going at it. He scored over him and won. He kind of like got in his face like a little bit of shoving. And the ref that was literally one ref like got like moved by the shoving and didn't call it. And then another ref comes in all the way to the other side of the floor and calls it
way
double
too aggressive.
The announcer of the game was actually like, "That's just good summer ball basketball. They're not going to give these guys a tech for that." And then he goes, "Oh no, wait, they did do a double tech." He goes, "Well, at least it was even penalties." It's just like
he's like, "Well, I take that back. I don't agree with that at all." That was weak. And again, it's Summer League. I like that he's playing with that passion. I like that he's mouthing off to people, pushing people around a little bit. So again, I hope this kind of is foreshadowing of the edge he's going to bring to the season. And hopefully he does have kind of that confidence and feels like, all right, I can actually do this. I belong. Take a little stride on offense. Again, it's not like we're going to expect him to jump into that Jayson Tatum, Jaylen Brown role. But if he can be a serviceable wing player for us off the bench, that'd be great. And we're just stockpiling these guys. So you've mentioned Shireman, Walsh, obviously there. And then you've got the rookies, which has been really interesting. Hugo Gonzalez, who we haven't talked about a lot. Obviously, he was the 28th pick in the draft. 19-year-old who a year ago, ESPN's Jonathan Givony actually had him as a top 5 pick. He didn't have a great year at Real Madrid, obviously dropped in the draft. But when you say that he didn't have a great year at Real Madrid, that's kind of the way it goes, playing on one of the best teams in the second most competitive league in the entire world. So you have to earn minutes there. So he just didn't really get a lot of run. But again, that's what's going to happen for an 18-year-old kid. I think even, a Luka Doncic was sitting for a while behind guys when he was coming up through that team. Like, that's just how it is. Hearing a lot of his quotes, I think that actually might be good. He's talked about how, like, he understands coming into the Celtics because he's already used to such like a professional organization. So I think a year in that system, in that league, playing with and against grown men every day could be really good for him. And I think, I don't want to be too optimistic, but I think that could be the kind of hidden gem that's worth taking a chance on, where we talked before the draft, how in years past, it's been like with where we're at, we kind of just need to take an older veteran player who could maybe help us now. This year, obviously circumstances a little different. Seems like we took a little bit more of a project, and Hugo, who's a guy who he's pretty raw, but in a couple of years, he might be really fucking a steal. And that's the hope. I thought he looked great in his first Summer League game tonight. Not so much. He sat out the middle game, but the tools are all there. He's big, another 6'7" kind of wing guy, plays with a shit ton of energy. Like, he was picking guys up full court. I think he's going to be a menace on defense, like so many young prospects. I think it's going to come down to the jump shot, which again, the shot looks good. The numbers haven't been great. The efficiency wasn't there, but I think a worthy gamble. I like what I saw. I hope he plays again in Summer League, so we at least get another look at him. And again, we'll see. So kind of when you talked about earlier, between all these guys, it's a lot of wing depth where it's like, I don't think between Shireman, Minnott, Hugo, Walsh, and then obviously our main starters, like, it's just kind of a lot of wing guys that can't all play.
Let's move one of them for a center or something. Jesus Christ.
or somehow fit, right. Well, it might not be move one of them, but it's like, do we just cut Walsh and keep Bassey or something if we, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I think that's at the point where we're at with a lot of these guys. It's like they really are playing for their jobs. For the most part, I think they're playing pretty well, but it's just so hard to tell what's going to translate from Summer League, obviously.
Yep. All right. Well,
and then the final rookie, got to talk about Max Shulga, out of VCU. The one other guy we drafted.
So sorry.
Hey, what is it? Max Shulga out of VCU, kind of like a 6'4", kind of like a between guard, can play some point, can play a little off guard. He's got some craft, dude. They were letting him run some things. I think in that second game especially, he set up like 4 alley-oops in a row off the dribble. He's crafty, man. He can do a thing or two. I feel like he's missed every single friggin' shot front rim, which is just brutal. But he's another guy where it's like he was good in college. I liked what I saw. He's obviously not the player that Peyton Pritchard was. But I think he's that kind of gamble who he's like in college for so long that people are like, all right, he is what he is, whatever. But I think what he is just a really good player. I think if he can kind of kick it up, again, it might take a year or two, but I think there's an outside chance of him developing in Maine and becoming a real player for us too.
All right. I just saw a headline. Brad Stevens blown away by Celtics second round picks, newly tapped skill. Why do I feel like this isn't a basketball skill at all?
Oh, God.
Most impressed by was him handling pressure, said the Celtics president of basketball operations. He doesn't get sped up for a guy that's been playing.
Or Amari?
Shulga.
Oh.
The hardwood. Oh, shared with Hardwood Houdini. Oh, that's who this article is. I thought his nickname was Hardwood Houdini. I was going to say, all right, maybe I'm backing on this guy.
If a guy we drafted was named Hardwood Houdini, that'd be pretty fire.
You just thought you got jitters. You're playing in front of everybody. And you want to make a name. I don't even think he attempted a shot to the second half, right? So he's basically just saying how I appreciate how he didn't get his handle of pressure. He's not even thinking about the stuff that doesn't matter. He's just like, okay, I'm going to get us into offense. I'm going to make the right read. I'm going to make the right play, and then things will open up. All right, so
what we're looking for.
And it says Max Shulga is a defensive pest.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's also just a different tenor where in the past few years, we've been so locked in on like getting ready to win a title, and the roster's been so in place that we've kind of just like slugged along through this, where I think this year we'll see how many of the guys, but these are real auditions right now, and I think there's a real chance that some of these guys we're seeing in Summer League can make an impact on the actual Celtics.
And yeah, you got to wonder too, like how it'll impact the way they play, just knowing that they have a shot at. Like if you're someone like Jordan Walsh, kind of like I got to be really fucking good to crack this lineup before. Yeah, like, I don't know. I could see how that could sometimes be like, no matter what I do, I can't get there for another year or so. But
and now you could say he's arguably got the upper hand on like a backup role.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you can't carve out a spot this year, then we gotta have some awkward conversations.
Sure.
All right, you got anything else on the C's, or there's a few around the NBA, just kind of big stories, but I don't know if you got anything here before we go to around the NBA.
No, I think that's pretty much it. Solid summer. Good to see Matt Reynolds, the Green Lantern, coaching.
Yeah, the Green Lantern.
He's in the summer league coach, so that's cool.
All right, around the NBA, I feel like the whole LeBron Lakers thing is pretty interesting setup. If you want to maybe start there. We do have some funny, I don't want to say funny, I guess that's mean, but some just classic news out of Philly. But the LeBron thing, it's so all signs seem to point to that the Lakers are kind of just like, Luka's the future. We're sort of done having LeBron be the guy where like that's almost like running the show without running the show. It sounds like LeBron is not taking that well, like is considering he opted in, but that's kind of what he was going to do no matter what. But like, it sounds like at first they were saying his like statement as soon as he opted in, I noticed a couple of weeks ago, but it was like, we have to look to see what's best for like LeBron in his final few years. It's just like, damn, bro. Like, so he basically was like, we want out. So what do you make of this situation? Like, is LeBron, is a $50 million LeBron, that's still an asset that people are going to want to go after, right? Of course, like no matter, but how with the way the CBA is, I don't get how a move like that gets done.
Well, it can get done by certain teams. It can't get done by like Cleveland, but a lot of teams could make it work if they wanted to. But it's just more, they'd have to want to make it work. He'd have to want to go there. And the Lakers would have to agree to it. Like, you need a lot of things to work that right now it doesn't seem like a lot of those things are on the same page. And most of the teams that even like were reported to be sniffing around said, well, we'd really only be interested in a buyout. And if you're the Lakers, you're like, well, why the fuck are we going to buy you out? Like, that's not going to happen either. And I think from the Lakers perspective, they're kind of like, look, dude, we appreciate everything you've done for us. We've catered to you as much as we could for 5 years. We've drafted your son, for crying out loud. Like, I think we've we've done a decent job on our end.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When he's like, we got to look into what's best for the last few years. It's like, well, It seems like a year ago you thought it was going to be end my career playing with my son. So,
and granted, a lot has changed because of Luka.
Yeah, they got a wicked sick player. You're just not he's just not the fucking cat's meow anymore, and he's
and I think
upset.
Well, I think you just hit on the main thing is that there's never been a time in his career where he wasn't like the guy. Even later in his career, we could argue like he's better or whatever, but it's like it was always still kind of his show. And it's just kind of weird now that it's clearly not. And I think part of it is him almost like grappling with his own mortality, where it's like, am I okay being this? But at the same time, any other team he'd go to, it's like, at this point, you're probably not going to be the best guy on any title-winning team. So it's more on you. Like, are you able to accept that? Because if he is, realistically, like, he's probably not going to have a better sidekick than he can be with Luka.
That's why it doesn't make sense to me.
And for the Lakers, too. Like, I think it's weird that they're not being more aggressive. Like, I get what they're saying. Like, it's Luka's timeline now, but it's like, okay, it's not like Luka's 21. He's in his prime. He already made the finals. He has another All-NBA sidekick in LeBron. Like, why are you punting to be like, no, we'll build in a few years? Like, you might not ever get a better sidekick for Luka than current LeBron. So I think both sides are a little delusional here. At the end of the day, I think everyone's kind of just going to, like, be passive-aggressive about it, and probably he'll just show up and play.
Oh, it's going to be very entertaining.
But, like, I would be honestly astonished if he gets traded or actually, like, changes teams this year. I think he could next year. But as far as this year, I think it'll be relatively business as usual. I think they'll underachieve. There'll be passive-aggressive stuff. I wish I could remember who to give credit to, but I saw someone said the funniest thing ever would be if Luka posted a picture and was just like, stop trying to fit out and just fit in, like the old what LeBron did to Kevin Love back in the day. Just started going on the aggressive. It's like, but yeah, it is kind of weird. Again, we'll see. Like, once the season starts, I'm sure he'll show up and say all the right things and whatever, but the whole thing is kind of
like
weird
in the worst way possible. Like, right.
Unless they win and it goes well, and then he'll immediately own right up to it. But that seems unlikely.
They ain't winning shit.
Yeah.
The funniest thing would be them trading LeBron away. It getting so bad they trade LeBron away because he just they just got to make it happen, and then Luka just doesn't sign.
Yeah.
But,
well, they lose a lot of money coming off their books in that case, but
plenty of money.
Crazy situation going on. I think the one thing that he wants, which actually there was one fairly big piece of Celtics news that we forgot to hit on, but we can kind of come back to it now, is I think that after this opting in thing too, LeBron has seen how other guys like Lillard and Beal are basically just getting their way with buyouts, and now I think that's kind of what he wants. I think part of the thing he's saying is like, all right, I've been good for you.
Wow.
You guys should just buy me out and let me sign with whatever team I want.
What's with this buy and stretch thing? I didn't know that they could do this.
Crazy. So you can do it as long as the cap hit isn't more than 15% of the cap. So that's why the Bucks were able to do it with Lillard, because he only has 2 years left, and the most you can stretch it over is 5 years. So he barely fit into the money. They stretched his $55 million over each of the next 2 years into $22 million a year for 5 years. So they're still paying him $55 million this year and next, but for their cap hit, it counts as $22 million against their books for 5 years in a row that he's not even on the team, which is
that's tough.
Kind of insane, obviously.
Yeah.
But I guess, I mean, I think you could at least like rationalize it from a Bucks perspective, where at this point it's like, dude, it's all just about trying in any way to keep Giannis happy for as long as we can. And like, if Giannis leaves, we're going to suck anyway. So that $22 million probably won't matter. Whatever. I get it. And then from what I can tell, it seems like the Suns, Ishbia saw that happen on the news, immediately called his front office and was like, wait, we could just do this? Like, why haven't we done this?
When Beal did it, I go, okay, that guy definitely had never heard of the stretch or anything 100%. Until that moment.
Well, so the thing is, Beal's contract is too much because he still has too many years left, so he doesn't fit the 15%. So that's why his is a little different. They have to get him to agree to give some money back. It seems like at this point, he's finally willing to be like, this situation sucks so bad, I'll just give you idiots $10 million out of like the 115 just to go away and be a free agent again, and then he can make some of that back. He just doesn't
get paid. He just loses it.
Well, he's still guaranteed, I think, like 115 million. But if he agrees to this buyout, they'll probably. Oh, I think they can only pay him like 95 million. So he would have to give back some of the money that he will. Well, but then he can sign with another team and get paid again. He'll be a free agent.
I guess, yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's
$20 million.
He hasn't done it yet. He might keep waiting. He has a big guarantee date coming up when I know he gets a big chunk. So they say he might be waiting for that because then it'll be a little less that he'll have to give back. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, that's an option. And I think LeBron saw that, and now he's like, "You guys should just do that for me." And
it's so funny just watching all these different people like hear about it for the first time. Be like, "Oh, wait a second,
yeah,
can you do this for me?"
I think that's also all the more reason to be grateful for Brad being able to get off Porzingis and Holiday when now you see teams being like, "Wait, can we just stretch our guys and pay for them over the next 5 years?"
What if I just made this more confusing and last for longer?
Yeah, but anyway, obviously the Celtics news I was getting at was that it's been rumored ever since this fascinating Lillard buyout situation began, that there's been a little bit of him being linked to the Celtics, obviously buddies with Tatum from Team USA, and now obviously both rehabbing Achilles. Today, again, Gary Washburn put out that Tatum is actively recruiting Lillard. So didn't go into detail, but it's like
he sent out a picture of him saying like my dog, like the day he got cut or waived or whatever.
I think
so
there's enough smoke around this that it's more than just the typical like Celtics rumors bullshit. It seems like they're legitimately in play, and like one of the on the short list of teams team is considering signing a multi-year deal with. So essentially he and Tatum would rehab. And again, now Lillard is in that unique position where he's getting $55 million this year from the Bucks and next year. So he can just sign a vet minimum. And I just think that would be so poetic. Another Bucks guard who they cast off coming to the Celtics for cheaper and just screwing them. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think this is.
I like. Well, I want to give my. I like. I don't. I didn't love it at first, but for like what you said, the minimum to come in, I feel like he would have to accept a different type of role. Like I don't think that he would be. Obviously, he's 34, coming off Achilles tear. If he wants to come in and be playing like 20, 25 minutes a night, and like probably like at some of the obviously in those like crunch time minutes down the way, that's fine with me. My obvious concerns are he's just so bad at defense, and might be worse because he's coming off an Achilles. But for the minimum, if he's actually willing to do that, and Tatum's lobbying for it, then I think they should definitely do it. So and it'd be good. Imagine just like adding, like you said, let's say the good end of your scenario goes down, and the Celtics are looking pretty good. They get into the playoffs, and all of a sudden it's like Lillard and
the Cavalry
Tatum are coming back.
Yeah,
we're just adding them for nothing. That's obviously huge. So I was kind of against the idea at first. Again, I just don't like how bad he is at defense, but. I've come around to it. I've talked to a lot of people about it. I've listened to the soul of the people, and I feel like
that. Well, you got to be willing.
When has the general public ever been this wrong about something? You're fishing in the public money now, Chud. Just so you know. I mean,
there's been times in the past, like when we were rumored to be trading for Lillard and stuff in the past, I was against it too for some of the reasons you just said. But at the end of the day, this is totally different circumstances. If we're getting him on. You're comparing him now to other free agents we could sign to a minimum. So it's more like, well, is it better than Luka, Garza, and Josh Minnott? Versus you're paying him $50 million, and it's like we have to go up Jaylen Brown to get him. Now it's like, say what you will. His defense has never been good, but this is still like a clear All-NBA player, arguably the best off-the-dribble shooter in the history of the NBA, other than Steph Curry. Like a clear Hall of Famer. Again, has he lost a step? Yes, but even last year on the Bucks, like, go look, he was really good. He didn't fit as well as he should have with Giannis, which I think is both of their faults. But again, like you said, I think if he's actually ready to like come play with Tatum on a team where like he can just come in and kind of be that guy when we need that change of pace. And again, we'll see what version of himself he is, but it'd be crazy not to take a chance on him if he actually wants to come here for that price. You're never, ever going to get a better
would he
upside.
Be a guy that you just mentioned like the off ball, like, or like the, just like the shooting and stuff. Like, could he be a guy that almost comes in and it's like, plays a little bit more like what Ray Allen played like when he came to the Celtics, where it's like, I know I'm off Achilles, you probably don't want him running around. I mean, and Ray Allen was like an athletic freak, like he was in peak shape. But I'm not even saying, obviously, like I said, 20, 25 minutes where he's coming in, just kind of is just sort of running off a bunch of screens, just bang, like hitting open shots like that. I feel like that's a role that I think might be better for where he's at if he were to come here. Obviously, I don't know.
I mean, that's obviously like, so far down the road, but I think, again, depending on what he's willing to do, the possibilities are kind of endless. Adding that special of an offensive talent in where he would, we still would have guys like Pritchard and White who can completely run the offense, or he can run the offense, play pick and roll with Jayson Tatum. Like, again, it's just basically there's no way we would ever be able to add a player that talented for this low price.
At that price.
Circumstances. Even if we find out he's kicked. Exactly. Like, look at the last guys on our roster. It would be him or them. Like, it's him or JD Davison. No offense to JD, who we love. But
how many
to me, like,
MVPs does Lillard have?
No one's saying he's going to come in here and be all NBA for the Celtics. Like, the people posting,
but I think
he
can fit in.
Like, it's not that. But again, if you can get him on a minimum, absolute no-brainer.
Yeah.
Huge upside.
All right. The only other big NBA thing I wanted to mention was just apparently Paul George had some kind of arthroscopic surgery. Was it his knee?
Yeah. Little left knee cleanup. Just a little cleanup.
Left knee cleanup there, reevaluating to determine when he'll be ready for how he'll be for training camp. I think last I saw too is Embiid. No one knows where he's at or anything.
They said they're optimistic he'll be ready for opening day. So ready from what?
If there's ever a franchise that had reason to be optimistic, it would be the Philadelphia 76ers, of course.
Yeah. So doctor, for the record, has now done an arthroscopic cleanup on both George and Embiid in the last month or so. And also, to be clear, this was a new injury that he suffered, right? He hurt himself in like a workout recently. It wasn't just like knee soreness they've known they had to clean up. This is something new before the season's even started. Man, that Philly team, they are like, it's crazy because I keep kind of going through the East when I'm looking where the Celtics are at and trying to figure out like, okay, where do we actually fit in the hierarchy? And like every single time Philly's that one team I leave out and I'm like, I don't know how to view them at all. Like, are they going to be back to being like the top 4 team they've been? Or are they going to be a lottery team again? Like, I have no idea what to expect. And I don't think
all I know is that doctor must have so much Sixer swag.
Yeah.
So much.
Doc, why do you live in Philly?
Seriously. If you're getting in the arthroscopic medicine field, you want to set up a shop immediately in Philadelphia, at least for the foreseeable. So that's funny. Something to keep an eye on. The Sixers always giving us reasons to smile.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. You got anything else, Chud? Or that about do it?
I think that's about a wrap for now.
Wow, good to be back. It's like riding a bike.
No doubt.
So yeah, shout out. Thank you everyone for listening. Thank you for listening live. If you listen to us live on Twitter, we're live streaming the shows now. Definitely got to fire whatever PR firm we're using to get the word out on the live streams. Feel like we're not. It's kind of a surprise stream, but yeah, thank you for listening in on those. Thank you for listening to the pod. Make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube. Subscribe to us anywhere you get your podcast at. We're streaming there. Video episodes on YouTube. Follow us on X at Chuddy's Corner. Chuddy himself has been very active on the back end of the Chuddy's Corner account in the offseason. I told him, I said, I'm tired, boss. I said, take over. This is your time to shine. Kid knows more about the NBA offseason than anyone I know. Postseason. So this is the post. Yeah, this is the playoffs, then the postseason for you. This is your postseason. Wheel now. Yeah. But yeah, so it's a great follow. So make sure you're following us there, interact with us. And yeah, we'll see everyone back here soon for another episode. Maybe an emergency pod too of Al. With our luck, Al will sign as soon as we get off the pod or something like that. But anyway, Chuddy heads, good to see you all. Take care.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.